Hey everyone, it's time for a call. As usual at this time of the month, it's the beginning of November, 2nd of November, and it's almost end of the year, pretty much. And honestly, things are not looking too great, especially if you look at the sentiment on X and in general in crypto and discords. What I see is a lot of people capitulating, bearish thoughts. Crypto is done, it's ending, and so on and so on. We'll look into this in a bit and why this is happening and how this could be a potential opportunity. But before that, I want to start by looking at the Bitcoin versus Nasdaq chart. This is the weekly chart and pretty much Bitcoin divided by Nasdaq. I'm using the futures both on Bitcoin and Nasdaq just to make sure we have the most accurate data on both sides. And this is it. And as you can see here, we're pretty much testing um, support, if you can call it. I wouldn't trade based on this chart, but I think it's an interesting observation. And we need to keep track of this because I think it's crypto is getting so popular and so mainstream, and the funds are already in it and so on, that we cannot ignore the relationship with the Nasdaq. And I can actually show you another chart side by side comparison between Bitcoin and Nasdaq, which is also quite interesting. But let's start with this one. We're at levels that we were back in March of 2024. So pretty much Bitcoin historically, as you can see, has significantly outperformed since inception. At least since this chart started. It's not since inception. This is since 2018, and this is probably the end of the bull market of 2018. And then you can see that slowly but surely, Bitcoin has been outperforming Nasdaq. But the times are kind of changing, and even if we go a little even more back in time, you'll see that since 2021, pretty much, yes, it's been very volatile, mostly on the downside. But they've been moving in sync. It's the same price. Like if you invested on the top of the last bull market, and you held your Bitcoin through the bear market, you'll be at break even versus the Nasdaq. So you might have even been better off investing in Nasdaq because it will be less the volatility. But obviously, if you've been in crypto more and you invested in the bear markets, you have significantly outperformed the market, like 2x at least, 2.5x. But right now, this doesn't look good for crypto because crypto has always been the asset, considered the asset. And when I say crypto, I mean mostly Bitcoin, that is performing on average 100% per year. It's so good and it's so risk on, but yet it's hard money. Long term, it goes to a billion. And so on. So, all these things that you believe as a crypto trader or just investor, it's tested. All these theses are tested when you look at these charts. Just because for the last year, pretty much since November 2024, we've been flat. This means versus the Nasdaq, we haven't really gained anything in crypto, and usually this involves a lot of risk in crypto. I would say even Bitcoin, because Nasdaq obviously has companies inside that have real revenue and so on. So yes, the adoption of Bitcoin is here, and we saw this last year of 2024 with this pump here after Trump's election. And you could say that this was driven by the election, by the Trump presidency in the beginning, since he was really pro crypto. But since then, basically nothing has happened in crypto. And there has been plenty of drama, including the last liquidation that we're going to discuss a little bit more in detail. And I think one of the main reasons for this is that once we had this pop on the event of the election, finishing the election of the US and choosing of Trump as president, the narrative for crypto just hasn't been there really. Yes, we've moved higher, slightly higher this year, but it just hasn't been there. I mentioned this in the beginning of the year, and price has crept up higher than that time. We were at 100K, if I remember correctly, around this time, and we went to 120, 25. But really, it hasn't been a massive, massive bull run or the last year of a bull run that people are used to seeing in crypto, the blow off top and so on. We could still see it. Don't get me wrong. I'm still bullish, but this is testing everyone's beliefs right now. And when it comes to Nasdaq, completely the opposite. There has been several narratives for stocks and mostly the Nasdaq to run much harder than crypto in this case. Obviously, on percentage basis, they're pretty much on par, but it's outrageous to think that Nasdaq is outperforming Bitcoin year to year, like 5% or so. We'll check the percentage right now, but a little bit later, but this around that number. And I think the narrative for AI and the big tech, like obviously Google, Nvidia, the front runners, and even like giants like Microsoft and all the others in the Nasdaq, like all the chip manufacturers and all the speculation around, um, you know, um, computing power, energy. There's plenty of narratives to go around in technology and in stocks, and we've seen this. Even crypto miners have ran recently based on their move to supply energy and computational power for the AI bubble. Let's go it this way. And there has been a very strong narrative for this. While in crypto, there hasn't really been a narrative. Yeah, Bitcoin is great. Yeah, it got the adoption, and yeah, we got the results, and that's it. There's nothing happening in crypto right now, besides thousands scams per minute launching and VCs still trying to milk the market by launching highly diluted tokens. But really, nothing, nothing. They could change this. There could be a change. I see one or two scenarios where this could change drastically. We'll discuss this, especially if base launches their token. But besides that, there has been nothing, and I think that's the reason. But I also think this is a major opportunity because, as you can see in the past, no matter how long it took, there has always been a massive outperformance versus the Nasdaq. So I think we could see another leg up potentially, and that's how I'm preparing my mindset for and how I'm positioning. I could see us at least test this high versus the Nasdaq, which could be a significant pop to like 150, 200, maybe. It depends, obviously, how Nasdaq moves. But right now, it's just doom and gloom. And the other chart that I wanted to show you guys is just the yearly chart on BTC. It's just Coinbase versus. Let's use the QQQ here. On again, I want to see the 12-month chart. Just fix this so we can see it better. There we go. So pretty much we've all discussed that crypto is on a 3-year cycle, 4-year cycle, maybe driven by the halving and so on. So, but just look at this. Maybe just move to log scale just for ease of use. And again, here you go. So you could see that pretty much on the NASDAQ, we've had exactly the same pattern. So on Bitcoin here on the left, you see that, let's say 2018 was a bear market. So we had the red candle, obviously. And then the next bear market was 4 years later in 2022. And exactly the same years in the NASDAQ were red also. And this was 2018 here was a little bit red on the Nasdaq, and of course 2022 was also a big bear market in stocks in the Nasdaq specifically in this case. So you could see that in the past 10 years or so, not 10 years, sorry, but close to 10 years, let's say 6-7 years, we've been moving pretty much in sync. And as the market cap of Bitcoin grows, I think this correlation will just be even more emphasized, and we'll see it more and more. And at some point, I don't know, but if like imagine AI really takes off and the big seven really get into AI and manage to make significant amounts of money, and then we get into robotics with Tesla and all the other stuff. I honestly, in the long term, in the like 5-10 years, I could see a world where yes, Bitcoin is great, but unless there's some significant development of how we use Bitcoin, I I can make the case that it would just move intact with Nasdaq. Because what else is there for crypto? Like what else is there for Bitcoin specifically? We got the adoption from institutional investors. We got all kinds of stuff that we were dreaming just 5, 6 years ago. And now what? They're the narratives. Like maybe we move everything on the blockchain, like all the real assets, real world assets. Now we're starting to see treasuries moving on chain. But right now we're in such period, like who the hell wants treasuries? So all these things are in play, but I would just consider this very long term. And I wouldn't be just blindly buying um, everything, actually only Bitcoin and ignore completely everything like I was doing in the past 5 to 10 years. Um, so it's a, I think, very dynamic world and very different space. And we need to consider these opportunities. And I'll be the first to admit if I'm wrong, and if Bitcoin just skyrockets to 1 million from here, that's great. It's sound money, and we know all the bullish sides. But really, if AI takes off after maybe a bubble pop, after a bear market, I don't know where this gets us. I don't think anyone knows. So just be prepared for this, guys, and don't stay like one-sided. And with all this said, let's just get in more into details of crypto, because obviously we're in crypto still, and I still think we have room to grow. So, as I said, on the 12-month chart, let me just come back. So here we have 18% year to date on Bitcoin, and the Nasdaq is 23% up. So it's significant. I'm not even going to count from the bottom here of this week, but you can see that 5% in this world, like those two assets and the risk they carry, it's significant in my opinion. And it hasn't been the case in the previous years, obviously. Last year, Bitcoin was up 120%, and Nasdaq was up like 24, 25%. So um, I think there's still room for Bitcoin to grow if we follow the seasonality. But again, these are the facts right now. And that's actually one of the main reasons for the massively bearish sentiment that I see everywhere. And on this chart, it's not visible. Let me just pull one that shows the capitulation much better. Okay, so we all remember this that happened a few weeks ago. So in the middle of October, we had this massive liquidation. But actually, I think this also contributed to the difference in the gains versus the Nasdaq, because this happened on a Friday evening when the markets were closed. And on Monday, Trump pretty much has reversed his stance by Monday, and stocks didn't even feel this. Like they didn't even dump that much. And in crypto, we obviously had the biggest liquidation event ever. And that's another reason for the very bearish sentiment. I don't remember since when I haven't seen so much bearishness everywhere. Like people rage quitting. I'm done with crypto. It's a scam. This week it scammed me, blah, blah, blah. All kinds of influencers that were high on hopium and leverage got wiped out. Everybody. Because this week was so severe, especially on some outs, that nobody, even like traders with 2, 3x leverage, which is significantly lower than what degenerates use, like 100 leverage or whatever, they still got liquidated, and that's a lot of money taken out of the system that needs to come back. But where's it gonna come back from? It needs to come back from tokens gaining pretty much price, and we haven't seen this since then. We've seen chop. We chopped the fuck out of everybody, especially this last test here. You can see very clearly we just ran the high here. There's some high confluence zone here on the 115 level. You could argue that we made a higher low, sorry, higher high here, and then we broke out of it, retested the next level up, rejected, came back here. So potentially we have a higher high here. This is the bullish side now. A higher low here, I would say, for now. It does look like we are reversing from this. Although I wouldn't feel safe with these lows tested so much. I'm gonna talk about this in a bit. But in a perfect world, this is where Bitcoin just rips higher. Everybody's super bearish. Everybody's rage quitting. We're basically in a range. Nothing has happened. We survived that, or at least some of us survived the biggest liquidation event. We haven't dumped below 100K. Like if you look at the weekly structure, like what the fuck are you talking about, guys? Like it's so bullish. The structure is so bullish right now. It's insane. Like biggest liquidation event, everybody's bearish. Price hasn't even broken structure on the weekly. Like we're just testing this low here, and that's it. Well, like we're closing, still closing way above this 107 level. And for me, like the it's over level is this one, like 100K. If we break and retest below it, like this for me is game over, and for this bull market at least. But we're far away from there, and people are super bearish, crazy bearish right now. And I've seen this before, not to this extent because of obviously this event that happened, but when Bitcoin chops the fuck out of everybody, I don't know how many of you remember, we chopped for like 6 months. Was it here from May? No, it wasn't here. I think it was here last year. Like we chopped the fuck out of everybody. Then we capitulated for quite significant time. Like this, we broke structure here and we spent 2.5 months in it, like from February to April. And then we started ripping. And I think this is not that much different. Like, I don't know if you're going to go up or down here, but this is just chop. And people get tired because they're used to the fast, quick gains on crypto. And we're just not going to get them anymore. We're getting the expansions and the contractions a little bit more, volatile, but pretty much locked intact with the regular market. And this is just the like if we go on the weekly, there's not even like a 3 week. Okay, there was some 3 week red on in here, but this is just nothing. And I think this move, pretty much what is happening right now, let's just be objective here. So we had a SFP on the weekly right here. This is the expansion to the downside that we had. We had massive liquidations on both those wicks. And now we're pretty much just recharging momentum here. This could take a while. I don't know how long, but we're pretty much recharging. We haven't done anything. This is not the move, guys. Don't get shaken out. Don't get too bearish here or too bullish anyway. Nothing has happened. Really, it's that simple. Nothing has happened for the past few weeks. And people are rage quitting everywhere. So now with this set, what do I see? Like what does need to happen for me to turn bullish or bearish here? Long term, I think in the next long term, I mean midterm, next 4 to 6 months, I think there's a high probability that we continue with the bull market. And that's one of the main reasons for this is that I don't see weakness in the stock market as well. We've been ripping all-time highs like day after day. And at some point, people could catch up to this also with crypto. And it's very simple. If we don't go down, quite possibly we'll go up. And you have a pretty good indicator of this right here. So we haven't broken structure, but if we start closing below this level, like 107, I said this before, it's been tested quite a few times. So I'm cautious and we're, I would say, dangerously close below it. But if we start retesting on the downside, now this is where it gets tricky. This is where like, where do we go from here? And the next level down is I think 100K. But if we're slow bleeding into this, I would be very, very cautious. I don't want to be buying slow bleeds. No, because these could take a while to resolve. Like even this, although there are like acceleration to the downside, these slow bleeds, imagine we're here potentially for the bearish side. Like nothing happened for months. Actually, weeks, not months. This is a period of about, 2 to 3 weeks. And then we had the big capitulation. Now, this is the bearish side. Although we already had a massive capitulation, with the sentiment so bearish, I still think there's space for this scenario to play out. But if it's a fast washout like this one, or maybe even goes lower, because remember, it gets really, really scary and really, really dark just before the bottom. And I think right now with the price action looking like this, it doesn't look scary to me at least. So if we see like maybe a correction, small correction in the stock market to retest previous highs, and then we get like a big candle to the downside, accelerating to 100K. I think that's a must buy. This is a must buy if it's like this for me. But if it's slowly bleeding, retesting this area, and then getting to 100K, I'm just staying away from it until I get confirmation for a bull market, for a shift in structure or whatever. This could take a while. It could resolve just in a week or so, but I don't want to see this. I want to see volatility. I want to see this. If I see this bounce, I'll be buying it because very likely this could wick down and then close back above like this level, 107 or whatever, somewhere in this area. And then continue, after everybody's sold, now we can continue with new momentum. But again, if we lose this level and retest it, doesn't matter if it's a fast washout or not, I'm getting the hell out. This is my first signal. Like bull market is over, is below 100K. But in my opinion, this is still a valid break of structure, even on the weekly. Like look at the reactions here. Look at the level, how many times. And technically, this is also a significant low here around 100. But I would say this is definitely a break of structure if we close weekly below these levels. And I don't want to see this. And retest it, of course, and just drop as a stone, like a stone from there. So these are the levels to look for on the bearish side. On the bullish side, if you want to be on the cautious side, I would say look for this level to break. Like 115, even anything inside this range could get tricky unless we break into new highs. But I would say the first relatively like positive confirmation you can get is break above this 115 level. Potentially retest and then maybe new highs. But this is the first signal that I'll watch for. Because right now I wouldn't be buying 107 as support for the reasons I said. And I'm just seeing this liquidity starting to build up here. So I don't know what's going to happen here. Maybe we could sweep, as I said, and then continue higher. That would be honestly a preferred scenario in this case. But also a slow grind to the upside and maybe nothingness for a few weeks more and just drop around here. And then we move higher. That's also very possible. But I generally, I still think we have another leg higher based on how stocks are looking and everything else. Yeah, so a lot of talk here, but I think it was very, very important to kind of do the overview and why sentiment is bad, why stocks are doing so well versus crypto, and in general, like what the hell are we going to do with all this? So yeah, if you obviously have questions, let me know. I'll go over some more charts and details and potential narratives that I could see play out on the bullish side. Because right now, as I said, this is what it's missing, in my opinion. It's a narrative. And one of them that I see is potentially Ethereum. Ethereum is still below 5K, so still below like previous all-time highs pretty much, but still hasn't broken structure as well. So we're hovering around 4K, in and out of this zone. I was in and out as well at some point, but I decided to just stick it out. My entry is somewhere around here. You can see this. I'm obviously targeting much higher, but here I think on this most important thing is the downside. And if we start breaking below these levels here that again have been tested quite a few times, and this is pretty much a no-go zone. I don't want to see us trading below there for a significant period of time. But if we start trading below here, I'm cutting my Ethereum exposure because for me this is a clear sign of weakness. Right now it's still chopping, although it's a little bit weak. It's still just chopping like Bitcoin doing nothing. And again, very similar, very easy level. If we break around 4K, close above like 4.4 and start having some momentum, then 5K okay, looks more reasonable. But right now, it's just sit and wait time. I don't really see any reason right now to ape into Ethereum. I'm just sitting patiently. I've accepted the risk on this one and see what happens. And the narrative that could play out here is, as I said, like moving more and more assets on the blockchain. And like I started seeing like their platform that trade stocks and so on. So with crypto 24/7, but there must be something else. I don't even know where this could come from because we had the narrative for the holding companies like MicroStrategy and the ETH equivalents and so on and so on. We've had all kinds of narratives with BlackRock, maybe with real world assets and so on. Now I don't really see a clear narrative for Ethereum itself, but it could be stable coins. It could be again moving more and more assets, like maybe BlackRock adopting on chain in a different way that I cannot anticipate right now. Um, but we're just still missing the narrative, and I think this rally will run out of steam, which it has pretty much since the test in August of the all-time highs, and slowly could bleed down to, I don't know, much lower and get into a bear market without really giving us a new high. Because this has been driven by several factors, but now I think they're starting to die off. A big one that I see in the horizon and fairly like soon, like in the next few months, is Coinbase. Coinbase had a lot of obstacles to launch their token with the previous SEC. Now with this kind of crime cycle, I would say that there's high probability that they launch their token. And obviously their kind of ecosystem will blow as well, blow up with Aero, for example, as a key player on the DEX side. With some other projects, Aero actually chart doesn't look terrible. If you take this as a range, pretty much. If you break out of it, this could get really, really interesting. Um, and all the other projects that are on base could have a massive, massive liquidity event if Base launches a token. And I think this could return some of the narrative into Ethereum specifically, but also into like all other crypto. Because Base will be huge. This is like the biggest crypto company in the world, holder of so many assets and storing so many bitcoins there with so many big companies. If they launch their token and do a proper airdrop, I think this could be a very, very good event in general for crypto. So I'm looking forward to see if this is going to happen. I would personally not probably get a big airdrop from them just because I haven't been an active user on Base that much. I've been using it, but not that actively. So yeah, this is what I see on potential narratives. And the other one is pretty much still active, but it's just the good businesses like Hyperliquid, which I opened the trade on today, but seems like I'm gonna be closing it. Fucking thing just going straight down. And I'm just gonna wait and see. This trade I'll close just right after the call, probably. It's just very weak right here. I was waiting for a bounce, but just never happened. But I think this narrative of dexes, perp dexes that could take the pie from Binance or from, all the other major exchanges, Coinbase. I think this is still in play. They have mechanics, especially Hyperliquid, to burn supply. They have the narrative for the potential airdrop number two. The chart is still looking pretty good. Like, just look at this structure, still very clean compared to 99% of the tokens out there. It's still very, very good. It's a very good project overall and very profitable crypto project. So they have the juice to pump this. So if we are to continue higher, I think this is one of the narratives to watch. This includes the Binance ecosystem. And just today, actually, CZ himself announced that he's buying some Astar, which is the equivalent of Hyperliquid launched by Binance to compete with them. They're doing very similar volume with Hyperliquid. I don't know if it's real, to be honest, and I don't really care. They announced mechanics for buybacks. There will be some seasons also for their airdrop. So they're pretty much following the Hyperliquid playbook, but they're at 3 or 4x lower the valuation. And obviously, they're pushed by the biggest crypto exchange in the world. I do have a bag of Astar, but let's see what happens here. It's still quite a bearish chart, and obviously it popped on the announcement, but I do want to see this hold because if it just fizzles out after the announcement, it wouldn't be great. We haven't really even broken structure. Like if you look at this, you could argue that we had a nice SFP here. on this level around the dollar. We reclaimed, retested, and now it popped. However, we haven't really broken structure yet. So I would say I want to see daily closes above here. Just, just do this. So 120 is the level to watch on the daily. If we get nice continuation here, then I would say this could really easily get to like $5, $6, $7 as they're fighting with Hyperliquid, and obviously as they have the bigger players behind them to push their backs. But other than that, it's just really tricky right now. Every token just like even pump.fun, which is a very profitable business. Just look at it. It had a big pump, gave it all back, had a fucking 70% candle on the day of the liquidation, and now it's just trying to push through. It doesn't look terrible. I'm looking for a suitable entry somewhere around here, but I'm just still a little bit cautious because we haven't had really a signal to ape in hard. But this is turning into bullish structure on the daily. And if this keeps this level around 0.004, I would say we could look for entries, maybe, looking at this descending line as well for confirmation. But it's really hard. Even like something like Solana has been chopping like shit. I don't know what to say with all the other tokens, to be honest. You could play the bingo. I'm trying sometimes, I bought some 4 or whatever, this one, um, just to see if the Binance ecosystem will run, because obviously it has the reasons to. But again, look at this chart, still not showing the bullish structure we want. And Solana is just a mess. It's been a mess for a while now, but just hovering around 200 and below 200 here. But it's just a really messy chart, to be honest. Ever since here, although we've made new highs, it's just at the same levels of March 2024. Keep this in mind. People that are bullish on Solana and on their ecosystem, it's been just dropping. And it's not been nice because it's been very volatile. And you've been better, much better, holding your money in NASDAQ. Yeah, that's a bummer. But yeah, this is crypto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we suck it up. And this is the moment where we're just waiting to see if we're gonna have a good run or not. And as I said, I'm still leaning that we're gonna have another leg higher. Coming back to Bitcoin, just to wrap this up. But if we start breaking here, I wouldn't hesitate to just close whatever exposure I have right now, which keep in mind is not that big percentage wise. And maybe if we get nice capitulation to 100, I'll buy some, see what happens. Or maybe if we reclaim, like if we have this and reclaim, I think that's also a trigger for continuation. So let's see what happens. That's everything, guys. I think we covered quite a lot. And as always, if you have any questions, you know how to find me.